So welcome, Zoe Carroll. It's a delight to be talking to you today. And you are a finalist. Congratulations. You are a finalist in the Education and Research category of the 2022 NLP Awards. So well done.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant category, and one that's very close to my own heart. So I'm really lucky. I get to see all the nominations, even though we don't choose the finalists. I do get to see all the nominations, and I've got your nomination in front of me. And I'll just read a bit of it, if I may. It says, as a department, we recognise that our students needed help with their state of mind before exams. We knew that Zoe would be the right person to deliver something that spoke to our students, as she understood how our students were feeling. Zoe delivered with passion, and when we heard the students reminding each other how to use the techniques in revision sessions, we knew that she had made an impact. Some students who may never have believed they could go to university in the past are now considering it. So tell us a bit more about this and about the work that you've done that's led to this nomination.
Yeah, so this really came about when I was teaching in my own department. We had really good results that were not expected for our department. So I was working in the public uniform services department and in sport, and people weren't expecting us to be in the top 5% of the UK, and they kept coming and seeing us and saying, what is it that you're doing? And then they'd come and say, what you're doing in the classroom just looks completely bonkers for us, because I'm getting people to get into their circle of excellence before they do a presentation and things like that. What is that lady doing? She's barking. And I was like, but look at my students present when they've got in it. You know, like they grow. They get about a foot taller when they're in it. And I've normalized it. Yeah. I've normalized it. You're being okay. You're a bit nervous. That's normal. You can do something about it. So then when the funding that we actually bid for came from an organisation that wants young people to go to university if they're the first generation in their family to have done it. So there's no parents or grandparents that have been to university. And there's a lot of story and a lot of narrative that they tell themselves around that. I can't do it. I don't know what it's for. Some people like me don't go to university. Yeah. So there was a lot of we knew there was a lot of belief change that needed to happen in the maths and English department, particularly because in further education in the UK, you have to keep doing GCSE maths and English until you get a grade 4 or above. Yeah. And so a lot of these students were believing that they were a failure, that they didn't have the skills. And so they were really demoralized, didn't think there was anything they could do. And just to give them that power and say, look, you can. You know this stuff, and if you go into the exam and your mind goes blank, there's still stuff you can do. So it really came out of my passion of knowing that young people have got so much potential, and yet they have all these stories, and they're being told there's no jobs. They're being told their GCSEs are easier than ever, and that just takes things away from them. They've lived through a pandemic and all this kind of stuff. A lot of the students that I'm working with this year never took their GCSEs. They were given assessed grades, so now exams are terrifying for some of them. Yeah. So it was a really lovely opportunity to go in and say, look, you can make a difference. You can be at cause, you're not at effect. You can be the change. You can be responsible for your own outcomes, and to give them a chance to dream about who they could be in the future and do that sort of future pace with them was a real gift for them. So that's how it all came about. And now I don't work at the college anymore, apart from when I go in as a contractor and deliver this stuff, because it just, when I started doing it, I was like, yes, this is it. This is what I want to be doing. This is how I can make a bigger impact in the world. So yeah, that's what I'm now doing. That's what I'm passionate about and pursuing again now.
That's fantastic. So, as I said, I've got your application here, or your nomination form here, and again it says, when she shared her personal story of how using these techniques changed her performances in sport and her career, it connected with the learners, with one of them telling us that was life-changing after completing one of the visualizations with her. And they also report that the main change that was measured was a 23.5% increase in students' confidence. That's impressive. So when you hear things like that for the work that you've done, what does it mean to you to be nominated for this award?
It was amazing, particularly because those students that reminded each other in the revision sessions were the kind of students that most people would have given up on. They were, before we came in, they were really quite disruptive. They didn't really want to take part in it. And now I'm saying, put your feet flat on the floor and breathe. And they were like, oh, shut up. You know, they didn't want to do it.
Yeah,
this is silly. And I was like, we're all doing it. And I've done it. And I told them about how, you know, I went to college and I didn't even finish college. I joined the Air Force because I didn't finish college. You know, I found it really difficult to concentrate and sit in a classroom and the pressure of assessments. And yet I went into a job that was really responsible. And I told them that, you know, I worked in air traffic control in the military, and things can go really badly wrong really quickly, but you can't go all panicky and say, I'm not doing this, and run away. You have to deal with it. Yeah. And actually people calm each other down. So I gave them a lot of this idea that by being calm in yourself and feeling confident in yourself, you inspire others in your friendship group, in your circle. So I'm like, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your best mate, do it for the person next to you in the exam. And that kind of really helped them. Yeah. And the lad who said this is life-changing is actually one of those that has applied for university. He came all the way from level 2 through level 3 and has now applied to university. So that's quite impressive. He was a really lovely lad. And then I had another story where I went in to deliver it again this year. And one of the students remembered me from last year. And she said, I wanted to tell you something, but not in front of everybody else. And she'd been out in the town with her friends. And they'd seen somebody on a bridge who was, they thought, about to jump off and about to take their own life. And she said, Zoe, it was like you were there in my head. She said, I didn't know what to do, but I wanted to do something. And it was just like you were there saying, just have the confidence, just do something. And she said, all I did was I talked the person through that breathing thing you taught us. And it was enough to get them to come back. And then we rang the police and we got them. And I thought, I was like blown away. I really was. I was really moved by the fact that in the moment she'd had enough wherewithal to do something. And that is life-changing, you know, for everybody involved, just to know that you've got that in you. And I think this gives them hope, and it gives them a belief in themselves. Yes. And I think you can't, you know, there's very few things that can give them that. You can tell people they're great, but unless they feel it, it's not going to go in. And I think changing that feeling for them, that's where the power is. And I think that's a gift for teenagers.
And that's exactly, it's so powerful at that age when they're young enough that it's still going to go on and make a difference in their lives, to have that sort of personal empowerment. That's it's just so lovely. So what one thing in your work do you think is making the difference?
I think the thing that makes the biggest difference is we do a new behaviour generator as part of the programme, and they see who they want to become, and then they step into that person as you're doing in the behaviour generator, and then we go into the future, we future pace it, and we bring them back and we say, who do you need to be today to become that person in the future? And I say, and I want that person to turn up to your lessons. I want that to be the person that turns up to the exam. And they, and they kind of like, no, I can see that for myself. And it's almost like daring to dream. Yes. And, you know, we give them a little bit of guidance. Make it big, make it positive, dream powerfully for yourself. Don't listen to the stories that will automatically maybe come in and doubt yourself. Just allow it and, you know, stand in it. And so that I think is the biggest thing, is who do you need to be now? Yes. To become the you of the future.
And that's something that I think we could all benefit from remembering on occasion.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, golly. So where would you like to see NLP, and particularly your work, in the future?
Well, at the moment, I'm taking it to the college, are running the programme again, but they're making it bigger. They're training all the teachers. We have accelerator tutors now, which are the catch up for the time that they missed during the pandemic. So they're all being trained. Our wellbeing team is being trained. And so it's going to be a whole college approach, which is really exciting. Yeah. And I'm also talking to secondary schools, because I think if we can get it, the earlier we can get this stuff to young people, the better. Yeah. What I really want to see, my vision is that this is normal, that we go into classrooms and see kids getting into their circle of excellence when they're 7 and 8. You know, like, I want to see kids believe in themselves to realise they've got an accountability to each other, or they can impact each other in a positive way. Yeah. And I'd love this to be normal all the way through, from when they're tiny to you know, throughout their life, so that they're always at calls and they always know they can just change how they're feeling, and they can decide who they want to be. So yes, my next passion is to get this into secondary schools, teaching teachers who can then ripple it out, because I've realized there's only so much impact I can do if I've got to be in front of each of the classrooms.
Yes.
So how could I get that out there? My friend is a teacher in Portsmouth, and she said, can I do some training down there? I said, oh, well, getting to Portsmouth. She just laughed at me like, no one does training in person anymore. Like, it's all online. And then I was sort of thinking, yeah, you know what, you could get this out there relatively quickly to the teachers who could then put it into their own classroom. So yeah, that's the next challenge, is how I can get this adapted wider. And that's why I think that the data really matters.
Yes.
Because you can tell people anecdotally that this makes a change. Yes. I can give them my impact report and say that it has made this much of a change. But this year, let me just show you this, Karen. I thought you'd find this funny. This is just part of my data set from this year. I got every student to fill one of these in. With blue is maths, pink is English. They all filled these in, so I'm getting more data than ever on how this impacts them. So if we can prove that it works, in a, you know, get it published and all that kind of stuff. And we can,
and as a former school governor, I recognise those mounds of paper that yes, that becomes the key thing in the school system, and you know, and that's so powerful and important to meet them in their model of the world.
Yeah,
to be able to drive things forward. So so yes, I totally understand that.
Yeah, so getting that data, I think, would be really important, because then it makes it, you know, everything has to be evidence-based, which I completely, you know, agree with and understand. So let's create the evidence, you know, let's not just have some case studies and some anecdotes. Let's really put some, you know, statistics behind this and see what sort of impact we can make, because that's when we can get the funding and push it out into the
absolutely. Well, and that's fantastic aspiration, Zoe. I'm thoroughly applauding of that aspiration. So thank you. As I said, you know, you are a finalist in the Education and Research category for the 2022 awards. We will be announcing the winners live virtually, virtually live on the 13th of May. So good luck with that, and very much look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity as well. I really appreciate just being with these great names as well. Is just it's quite an honour. Quite touched by it. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.